We have got fantastic speakers today. There are people many of you will recognise, and I want you to all understand that despite the fact that none of us will agree on everything, and although our speakers come from different backgrounds and different spheres of influence, we are all here because we are in agreement on this most important subject, that this unprecedented curtailment of our basic freedoms is simply not justified. First up, we have Jeremy Harris. Now, apart from being a successful businessman, Jeremy has been working very closely with the Plan B group. Plan B are a group of scientists, health experts here in New Zealand who share our concerns. Experts who the government have willfully sidelined and ignored to date. Let's welcome him.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I came to the attention of the Plan B group. Hello, can you hear me? Yes. I'm very lucky that in May I came to the attention of the Plan B group. Okay. I'm very lucky that in May I came to the attention of the Plan B group and I got an inside look into what they are up against. From early March, they have been speaking out against what has been going on. And as a businessman, I was lucky to get that inside look. They have risked their careers and put themselves in a place where their colleagues are trying to change their minds and force them to give up what they've been doing. And you know, they have become my scientific heroes due to their bravery. It's them who have led many of us to be here today with their intellectual heft behind us, giving us the moral authority that we can oppose this insane lockdown that's been going on. I've seen how hard it has been for them to try and even get simple op-eds published in the paper. So all of you just know that there are academics out there who have put their principles first, that have kept their heads while everyone else in authority has been losing theirs. If you want to go on YouTube and check out the scientific answers, they've done a symposium which has 7 hours of experts from Oxford, Yale and Stanford who are talking about all the ways in which the decision we're making is wrong by hundreds of times when you count the risks and rewards. If you want to learn more about the science, you can go there. Many of you here know the arguments, so I won't go into them. Today, what I want to talk about briefly is the ethics of what we're doing. You know, one of the things the scientists in Plan B told me is that for RNA viruses like influenza or coronavirus, the flu vaccine only protects about a third of the people that we care about, those who are over 65 and immune compromised. So we're waiting for a vaccine that will likely be quite ineffective in the people we're trying to protect. The best way to protect them is to do it now while we care, to quarantine them while we quickly, the rest of us, the young and healthy population, get to immunity. It's simply unethical and immoral to instill fear in the elderly, to lock them in their houses for a year, and then to give them what may end up being not much more than a placebo while the rest of society goes back on with their lives. The other thing to keep in mind is that this virus gets exponentially more deadly as you get over 70 years of age. So for these people who the vaccine might not be very effective for, their best chance to defeat this virus was yesterday. Their second best chance is today, tomorrow, and so on. So in the medical code of ethics, it says that everyone has the right to choose the treatment that is best for them. And And by having the borders closed and by having this lockdown, these people's best chance may be being taken away. So all I really want to say in closing is that, this campaign has to win, because this madness has to end at some point. What we're here for is we want to help the other people who've had fear instilled with them, just help them to come and see the truth, that we cannot go on like this forever. We must eventually go back to normal. We must accept the reality of where we find ourselves, and that it's okay to admit that our leadership overreacted and panicked. Doesn't mean that they're bad people. Nice people can make bad decisions. But we have to admit that mistake. So thank you, and all you need to do is keep showing up and we'll do it.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Plan B are going to be a big player in the fight against these lockdowns, so it's great to have him on board. Here's a quick pop quiz for you. How many countries or states in the world that did not implement draconian lockdowns have been shown to have a mortality rate this year outside the range of their mortality rates over the last 10 years? Anyone? Anyone? None. The answer is none. No countries or states that have not locked down have been shown to have a mortality rate this year not previously seen in the previous recent year. None. Not even Brazil. There is no indication, no data that shows that Brazil will have levels of total deaths for this year, when all said and done, when adjusted for population, that are materially different to those of, say, some of the past 10 recent years. You want the detail? The calculations? Come and talk to me afterwards. Now we have the lovely Claire Deeks with a few words. Claire is a lawyer, a mum, and now, like you and like me, an activist.
Thank you, Jonathan. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, I'm quite nervous, but here goes. First, I want to acknowledge each and every one of you that is here today. Some of you have come confidently, without hesitation, but many of you have agonised over the decision, and yet you are here. You have been willing to stand up for what you believe in, willing to have the courage of your convictions. For those of you that just considered coming, but didn't yet make it, we know how hard it is to come out in the face of hostility and of friends and family, the disapproval, the shaming, the belittlement, for just daring to question the official narrative. To those of you at home, I say, we feel you, we know your anguish, but unless you step up, unless you stand up, unless you speak out, nobody can see you. We need you. So, who am I and why am I here? Well, first of all, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm not a scientist, a fact of which I am reminded upon daily by everybody, including my lovely brother. And they would rather I stay silent. But what do I have? I have 15 years practicing as a corporate lawyer. I do have 3 degrees, history, French, and law. I know a thing or two about researching. I know a thing about analysis, and I know about extracting relevant facts. Facts, people. But what am I first and foremost? I am a mother. And like so many mothers, degrees or otherwise, we have become passionate researchers in the subject of health and well-being. It started with asking about the food we put into our children, questioning the official government guideline. In this case, it led to me forming a blog, Dom's Kitchen, and starting a petition against the ridiculous Health Star rating. From there, many of us started questioning everything we put into our babies' bodies. And this leads us on different paths. But we are all here today because we dared to question the official narrative. As a mother, I am doing this for our children and our children's children, and especially I'm here for my son, Dominic. I'm not going to look back on 2020 and think I should have done more, said more, been more visible. I'm going to look him in the eyes and say, yes, when there were things happening in the world that didn't make sense, I stood up, I questioned them. when I saw there was government overreach happening, when I heard the Human Rights Commission, our own Human Rights Commission, strongly criticising the government's COVID-19 legislation, passed under extreme urgency without adequate time for rebuttal. As a qualified lawyer, I am not going to sit on the sidelines and watch this happen. We have reached a point today in New Zealand where merely voicing a dissenting opinion to the majority is dangerous, where our Prime Minister tells us that she and her government are the single source of truth. And yesterday, the government's preferred scientist, Rod Jackson, went on record as saying that as far as he was aware, every experienced New Zealand epidemiologist supports our current elimination strategy. Then we have provided this advice to the government. Well, I think that the Plan B epidemiologists, Gerhard Sunborn and Simon Thornley for one, would beg to differ on this.
Yes.
What would I like you? So with these lockdowns, we are taking unprecedented steps with huge and ongoing consequences to all facets of our society. We all owe it to ourselves and especially our children to ask questions. Question the masks, question the social distancing, question the lockdowns. Now is the time. Today is the day to step up. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Claire. I think we need to re-estimate the crowd numbers. There are at least 500, easy 500 here. Way more. I know some news media, if they're here, I'm looking at News Hub, will be scoffing at my claim that Brazil is doing fine. And I'm happy to discuss this with anyone afterwards, but do you know what really highlights Brazil's relative success? The fact that its neighbour, Peru, which is locked down for months in the most draconian style, is doing far, far worse. Look it up. The comparative evidence coming from South America simply does not support lockdowns. Anyway. Next up, we have the courageous Jamie Lee Ross, followed by the wonderful Elliot Ikalai. Now, you may have noticed that I've very craftily put them in one after the other. Because I'm sure I'm not the only one here who would love to see these two fine gentlemen working more closely together in the near future. That would be unstoppable! Anyway, here is Jamie. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Good afternoon, Auckland. Good afternoon. Hey, I just want to say congratulations to every single one of you for getting out here today, because the media, the politicians in Wellington, they don't want you to be here. But you're here today because you believe in freedom. You're here today because you believe in standing up for your rights. You're here today because you believe in asking questions. Those questions aren't being asked properly. Those questions aren't being answered properly. But we're here today because we believe in a country and we believe in an economy and in a future and a democracy where people can make decisions for themselves. We also believe in a country where people can look at the overseas evidence, can look at the science